Okay, so this is the last concept in chapter 3, and then we still have to study for the midterm, and then after the midterm, I promise chapters 6 and 8, they don't look like this at all. It's not all functions and stuff. Okay, so the question is, when is that greater than 0? Alright, now if I go to my calculator, this is slightly different than what I typed out in the notes because I wanted one that I would actually factor. Okay, if I type out, if I put that in the calculator and then look at it, it looks something like that. I count it off really carefully, and this is positive 1, and this is negative 4, and that's why I rewrote it so that I'd have that. Okay, now if I was running a business and I was like, this is my business model and this is how much money I'm going to make and stuff, I would be interested in knowing, when is that positive? When is it? When am I going to make money in this? Okay, well, anytime it gets above the x-axis, it's in the positive zone because the y numbers are positive. So over here, all out here is all positive. And over here, it's all positive because it's above the x-axis. And this range in here, it's not. It's actually negative because it's below the x-axis. All right, now this question of graph on a number line didn't say anything about graph on my calculator, but the x-axis and the number line are exactly the same thing. Okay, here's the number line. There's negative 4. There's positive 1. All right, so when it says graph on a number line, I just look at the picture on my calculator, figure out where it's above the x-axis, and that is the answer to graph on a number line. So that's the part where it's positive. So that's graphing the answer to this question on a number line instead of a regular graph. Alright, this one says less than or equal to 0. So like maybe this person is interested in one of the bad years, okay, in my business. And what happens is, I see it touches right there, and then unless you go in and change the window or zoom out or something, you don't find it. But over here at 16, it goes like that. And I know that if I zoom out, it's going to look like that because this factors to x squared times x minus 16. So that's what was going to happen there if I ever actually factored it out. And that's why these are the zeros. Multiplicity 2 at 0, and then there's that 16 there. That's what touches there and crosses there. So if you can't see all that, you'd have to zoom out a little bit. Or you could go into that window and change it so that the x's are positive 20 and negative 20, and it'll move it out a little bit so you can see it. Okay, and this person's interested in when is it negative, all right, because it says less than. This was positive because it said greater than. This is negative because it says less than. All this stuff in here. Now this point right here, it touches right at the origin. Well, that's okay because they said less than or equal to 0. So that's a point where it's less than or equal to 0 because it's actually equal to 0. All of that. And then it's positive from there on out. So on a number line, here's 16. And it's pretty much all that stuff over there. Okay, but this point right here, right at 16, that's equal to 0 as well, and they want it or equal to 0. And the way you fix that up is instead of using a parenthesis right there, you use a square bracket. Okay, the square bracket you only ever use when it says or equal to. This is with parentheses, and this is square bracket. So square bracket takes account of the fact that at that dot too, I want that dot in it as well. So this is the answer. All right, then the last one. Oh, that's much more. Okay, less than 0. All right, so I go in and I graph it in my calculator. Make sure to keep everything in parentheses so it puts everything in there correctly. Okay, and I know because I'm looking at this denominator right here that it's going to have a vertical asymptote at 2, And if I go into my calculator, there's definitely something there. Okay, and I know it's going to cross. If I'm trying to figure out what points it's crossing at, it looks like there's a cross at -5. Because of that, if I set that equal to 0, that's an x-intercept. +1. And then I can see it kind of comes across here like it's doing some sort of slant asymptote. And then it goes down there. And it never ever says what happens over there. How am I supposed to know? Is it down here? Is it up here? How am I supposed to know? Well, okay. If I, again, go to the window, I changed my window way out. I wasn't even sure. But if I change my window way out, I changed it to like 100 and -100 and so on both ways. It was way up here somewhere. That's because there was a slant asymptote running up through here. Anyway, even though I didn't make it accurate enough, by the time I got to such a huge window, I could no longer count how many hash marks, so I got no idea exactly where that is. That's okay, because they're not asking me what's the name of that point right there. All I want to know is positive or negative. This picture, that was definitely positive. So the only bits that are negative is this little bit right in there. It's negative from +1 to +2. And this is all positive in here. And it's negative over here from a -infinity all the way up to -5. So here's my number line. And it's got a 1 and a 2 and a -5. I mean, you can count those off on your calculator, but you kind of know them because those correspond to those numbers right there. Okay, and it was negative in here. And it's negative all the way out there. And I didn't even need a square bracket. I don't see any or equal to's. So this is the picture.